and welcome to this second video. So now I'm just going to run through the techniques that you would have done in the workshop. So this is not a how to follow me guide. This is just a reminder of the techniques that we've used throughout the workshop. But I'm going to start with the techniques that we will use at the beginning. Always very, very important to warm up. And then the techniques will progress once we've warmed up Ginny's neck and shoulders. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of oil on my hands. So I'm going to dip the back of my fingers into the oil and then cup it with my other hand. Firstly, it means you don't get drips, and secondly, you don't want to put too much oil onto your client all at once. You can always add it in. You can wipe it away with a towel, but if you do that, then please use an old towel. But best to start with a light covering of oil to start with. So I'm just going to do that now. And then wipe the oil on the palms of your hands and also just a little bit on the side, so the little finger side of your forearm as well. And then I'm going to wipe the oil onto Ginny's skin, a little bit onto the shoulder blade as well, up into the neck. So I'm literally just stroking the oil onto the skin at this point. So there's no pressure at all involved. I'm literally just sliding it around her skin. And apologies, Ginny, but a little bit like painting and decorating. Make sure you don't miss anywhere. So now we're going to start with the warm-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the knuckles of my hands. So I'm not pushing a lot of pressure. I'm skimming the surface and I'm starting to really get some blood flow to the skin. So I'm going to start at the bottom of Ginny's shoulder. So my other hand is just resting on her shoulder. I'm not applying any body pressure and I'm not leaning onto her shoulder. So again, as I said in the first video, I'm not working on the spine at all. So you can either do this by moving your fingers, but I would say just be cautious as the person giving the massage that you don't want your hands to get too tired. So you can just hold your fingers in this position and literally I'm moving the whole of my hand. So this is not a great effort for me to do this. And then when I get to the top of the shoulder, I'm just going to slide my hands, making sure that I'm moving in quite a rhythmic and slow, steady pace. Don't go too fast for sure. What you may see is that the blood comes to the surface as you're doing this. This is absolutely normal and it shows that we're warming up the area. And I'm going to come this side now, but you can stay this side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on Ginny's shoulder blade. So this is quite a light pressure that I'm using. Always bear in mind that the person that you're massaging is sitting up. They're still holding their own head up. So please don't make it a tug of war. This should be a relaxing experience for the person sitting on the chair. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some squeezing movements, and I'm going to do those on the top of Ginny's shoulders going to do them a little bit on the back of her neck, just as this is just again as a warm-up. I will demonstrate this from another angle later in the video on the neck, so just in case it's not clear. And we're incorporating the top of the arms into this video and into this massage, because the muscles of the shoulder and the muscles at the top of the arm all interlace and work together, so people can hold quite a lot of tension in the top of the arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my hand into a cup shape, or like a Lego person hand. Most people know what that looks like. And then just to steady the shoulder, I'm going to cup the top of the arm and I'm going to gently squeeze, and as I squeeze I'm pulling the hand away. So I'm not pushing in, I'm squeezing and I'm just lifting a little bit at the same time. And you can play around with this movement. You can also do this movement to yourself, and you can either use the fingers to do the moving, or you can anchor with the fingers and you can use the heel of the hand instead. See what feels good for you and check in with your own posture at the same time. I'm going to use that same movement. Jenny, if you can just move around for me slightly, that's it, on the top of Jenny's shoulders. So I'm squeezing, I'm coming above the collarbone, these muscles where we all hold tension, and I'm just squeezing and lifting, so I'm not pushing down, I'm just squeezing and lifting up. And again, this is something you can do to yourself as well. And the other place you can do this is at the back of the neck. So I'm not going to take the weight of Ginny's head, but I'm just going to hold my hand there so that she knows that she's steady and secure. I'm not pushing into the neck. I'm picking up the muscles with my fingers and I'm pulling them as if I'm gently pulling away from the back of Ginny's head. And I'm starting at the base of the neck and I'm working my way up to those bones at the bottom of the skull that I talked about in the last video. Again, we will hold lots of tension here. So everything I'm doing in this video, you would do both sides with whoever it is that you're massaging. So just turn back slightly for me, Jenny, thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to super slow, and you cannot do this move too slowly, so I'm rolling my fingers over the top of Ginny's shoulders. I'm going down in between the shoulder blade and the spine, so there's not room for my little finger, so my little finger is lifted slightly off, and super slowly I'm working my way around those muscles. And coming up, I'm just going to do that one more time. So I'm rolling my fingers just enough to move the skin, but I'm not pushing into Ginny, so I'm not pushing her off her stool. So all of these moves that we've just done are warm-up moves. Once our partner, friend has had all the warm-up moves, then we can move on. So I'm going to use the heel of my hand now, and I'm going to start just slightly more pressure, not a lot of pressure. My fingers are staying relaxed. and I'm making circles with the heel of my hand. Again, I'm not on the spine. I'm working round those muscles between the spine and the shoulder blade, and as I'm making this movement, I am starting to soften my knees, almost as if I'm a position like I'm about to sit on a chair, so that I'm not leaning forward or doing a funny side bend or putting any strain on my body. So that's heel of the hand. You can also use heel of the hand on the shoulder blade. So we would never use heel of the hand on the neck though, but the shoulders, it's a good one. So Ginny, if I can just ask you just to turn around. So now I'm going to work on the top of the shoulders here. I'm going to do one side at a time, and I'm going to use my forearm. So I'm using the side that my little finger is on, that we put a bit of oil on earlier. I'm going from the base of Ginny's neck until this bone right here. So I'm just going to move that strap slightly. So I'm going to this bone. So I'm not working onto the bone, I'm working between the neck and where the bone of the shoulder starts. So I'm going to again bend my knees, get comfortable. If you can work in a lunge if it's more comfortable for you. I'm steadying the other side, but I'm not pushing pressure on. And then using my forearm, I'm just going to nice and slowly work my way down. So I'm using a little bit of pressure, and then I'm taking it off as I get to the bone. Now here you can either take your hand away and start again, or with no pressure at all, you can just slide back up again, and that feels quite nice for people. And make sure when whoever you're giving a massage to, that you check in and check that it feels good, whatever it is that you're doing. And you can always ask them for feedback as you're working. So again, you would do this both sides. And we're just going to do a little bit more work on the neck in this position. So again, I'm not taking the weight of Ginny's head in my hands. I'm just steadying. Actually, can you come just a tiny bit further out? Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingers as if they're super glued together. Now I'm going to use my hand in this shape. So my thumb is separate now. A lot of people, when they do massage, they try and do it all with their thumb. So actually there's no thumb pressure at all in this workshop. So my thumb is literally just steadying me against the other side of Ginny's neck. It's my fingers that are doing the work, as if they're super glued together. I'm making tiny little circles up the muscle right here by the side of the spine, where we all tend to hold quite a lot of tension, especially from looking at our mobile phones, working on laptops. So again, this would be a good point to check in with your client, ask how that feels. And those little circles can continue up just onto the bone at the base of the skull, and that should feel good for your client. Is that feeling good?
Yes.
Yeah. And then again, with no pressure on the way down, and then just little circles again. So check in with your pace as well, and make sure that you're not moving too fast. If in doubt, slower is better. And then back up into that area again. And then obviously you would repeat this the other side. And then if you can just come a little bit further out to the front, thank you. So we're now going to do just a little bit of work around the front of the shoulder. So I'm just going to get a little tiny bit more oil on my fingers. When you're doing this, you're working directly under the collarbone. And then as we come to, the body has a natural dip just before the bone of the shoulder. And so we're going to stop just before the dip. So you don't want to put pressure into this area. It's quite sensitive. There's nerves, ligaments, tendons. So we're avoiding that area. We are working just underneath the collarbone, and we're using the same little circles movement that we just used on the neck. So with my fingers, just enough to move the skin. Again, always check in with your client. And directly underneath the collarbone until I get to that little dip. And I would suggest that you do this at least 3 times. Last one. So with my fingers working as one like this, it means that I'm not putting any pressure on my hands. And then I'm going to repeat the movement that we made earlier of just picking up the arm, letting go of any tension. And then to finish off, we're going back to the gentler, slower moves that we did in the warm-up session, and we're also going to add in a little rock right at the end. So once you've finished and you've worked both sides evenly, to finish off, I'm gliding my fingers so there's no pressure at all in my hands. I'm gliding down the neck, and then as I get to the top of the shoulders, then I'm adding a little bit of pressure, not too much. And then I'm sliding down the top of the arms. I'm bending my body, you can see at the same time I'm bending my knees, so I'm not putting any pressure on myself. Now I'm going to go wider. You could sit on a chair to do this. I'm just going to ask you just to turn slightly for me. And I'm following the line of the body, just go a little bit more, perfect. So I'm following the line of the body, and I'm just going down in between the shoulder blades, avoiding the spine of course. Then I'm laying my hands flat, and I'm just going wide instead. And then I'm just going to do that again. So fingers either side of the spine, and gently pushing as if you're creating space in the muscles that we've just worked on. And you can do this quite a few times. It's very soothing for people. And then just face the front for me now, Jenny. So I'm going to show you a little rock to finish. So you do one side then the other. We're using our forearms again on the top of the shoulders. So my knees are bent, I'm nice and relaxed. So if you want to mirror me for this, using your right arm, just take a deep breath in for me, and in your own time breathe out. And I'm just going to roll down and breathe in. And then when you're ready, breathe out. And I'm going to rock down on the left and breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in for me. And breathe out. Lovely. So if you're doing a relaxing end of the day massage, then this would be where you'd stop. If, however, your client has got things to do, your partner, friend has got things to do after the massage, we're now just going to do a little refreshing movement to finish off for the last technique, and we're going to do this on this area at the back of the head, at the bottom of the skull, and I'm working on the bone when I do this. And what I'm doing is, with a flat hand, little finger side of my hand, I'm going to make a friction movement backwards and forwards. But again, I'm not pushing into her head, I'm sliding my hand along, and I'm going to again steady her head in my hand, and the head will move a little bit as you do this, and you can start at the base of the skull and you can work your way up to about halfway up the head, and you can do the whole area. So you can start in the middle, go to one side, work round, go to another side. So if someone isn't going to sleep after your massage, then this is quite a nice way to wake them up, although they might need a hairbrush afterwards. And there we go. My thanks again to Ginny, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much. Bye bye.